Hello and welcome to the MAML Manual. I'm Sebastian.
And I'm Iris.
And today we'll be doing a short video on the 3 problems in this year's Meet Number 1, Topic Number 1, Arithmetic with Star Operations. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. Alright, here's our first problem from the 2023 Meet for Arithmetic with Star Operations. Now, I found this meet a little bit unique this year because the first 2 problems of this section were just plugging in numbers. And so there wasn't really any special tricks you needed for that. You were literally just plugging in numbers to the equations that they give you. And so that is a very classic thing to do in Arithmetic with Star Operations, but I found that it was a nice, easy start to the season, which I was happy with. All right, so we can cover these now. So let's get started. So let a star b equal 2a squared minus 3b and m at n equal 3n minus 6m squared. Find the value of parentheses 4 star 10 at parentheses 5 star 12. So even though they're defining different operations, remember that you need to do the parentheses first. And that holds true for arithmetic with star operations. So let's get started with that first. So we can do 4 star 10, and we say that 4 star 10 is equal to 2 times 4 squared minus 3 times 10, because a is 4 and b is 10. We know that 4 squared is equal to 16, and we know that 2 times 16 is equal to 32. So we get 32 for this first value. And then we know that 3 times 10 is 30, so we get 32 minus 30, which is equal to 2. So this first value, 4 star 10, will be 2. All right, so next we're gonna have to do 5 star 12, so we can do that over here. 5 star 12 is going to be 2 times 5 squared minus 3 times 12. We know that 5 squared is 25. We know that 25 times 2 is equal to 50, so we have 50 right here. We know that 3 times 12 is equal to 36, so we subtract 36 from 50, and we get 14. So we come over here, our second value is going to be 14. So we're left to evaluate the expression 2 at 14. And up here, they define m at n to equal 3n minus 6m squared. Now, this is something where you could go a little bit wrong. Be careful that you put them in the right order. So it says m at n, but then it says 3n. You need to start with that second value in this first place. Okay? So 2 at 14 would be 3 times 14. Make sure to use that second value. Minus 6 times 2 squared. Okay? So that might have been a place where some people went wrong if they weren't paying close attention there. So we have 3 times 14, which would be 42. We know that 2 squared is 4, and 4 times 6 is 24. So we're left with 42 minus 24, which will be our final answer. And we know that 42 minus 24 is equal to 18. So the very first answer to the very first topic in the very first meet this year was 18. All right, with that out of the way, let's move on to the next problem. Here is our second question of the first topic of the first meet of 2023. So this problem isn't too much harder than the last one in that we're just plugging in numbers to equations. It's just that this one has 3 equations instead of 2, and also the equations are more complex than that first question. So it's easier to make an arithmetic mistake with this one, but it's not harder overall. So we'll start with 8 star 17. So 8 star 17. And it says that p star q is equal to p times the square root of p squared plus q. So that's a lot. We just need to make sure we're plugging in the right numbers. So we start with p, which is 8. And then we multiply it by the square root of p squared, which would be 8 squared. Add q. Q is 17, so we're adding 17. So that's what it will equal. 8 times the square root of 8 squared plus 17. Now, we know that 8 squared is 64. So we're evaluating the square root of 64 plus 17 times 8. We know that 64 plus 17 is 81, so it's 8 times the square root of 81, and of course the square root of 81 is 9. So we're left with 8 times 9, which is 72. So our very first thing here, 8 star 17, will be 72. Now we can move on to this more complex expression over here. We can see that it wants us to square the entire quantity. So what we're going to want to do is evaluate the inner quantities first, and then we can square our answer. So let's start with this first inner quantity, which is 10 lambda 8. If you didn't know, this is the capital letter for lambda in the Greek alphabet. So 10 lambda 8. 10 lambda 8, well, it tells us that r lambda s is equal to s times the quantity r minus s squared. So we have to be very careful. Again, r lambda s is equal to s. So we have to use that second number to multiply outside the parentheses. So 10 lambda 8 would be 8 times r minus s, which would be 10 minus 8 squared. Now, 10 minus 8 is 2, 2 squared is 4, and 8 times 4 is 32. So this expression evaluates to 32. So over here, we know that 10 lambda 8 is equal to 32. Now, let's do 4 cross 6. I'm sure that probably has an official name. I don't know it personally. I'm just going to call it cross for now. So let's evaluate 4 cross 6. So we have 4 cross 6. Up here, it's telling us that a cross b is equal to the square root of the quantity b squared minus 5a plus ab. So the square root of b squared, so that's 6 squared, minus 5a, so that would be minus 5 times 4. Make sure that all of that quantity is under the square root, and then we add a times b to it, which would be multiplying 4 times 6. Now, 6 squared is 36, and 5 times 4 is 20. So we're evaluating the square root of 36 minus 20, and we know that 4 times 6 is equal to 24, so we're adding 24 to that quantity. 36 minus 20 is 16. The square root of 16 is 4. So all we're doing is 4 plus 24, and the answer to that would be 28. So we have found that 4 cross 6 is equal to 28. So now it's just a simplification game. So our expression goes 72 plus parentheses 32 plus 28 squared. Okay, so we're going to have to simplify this over here. 32 plus 28 will get us 60. So we're left with 72 plus 60 squared. Well, I know that 6 squared is 36, and I know that 10 squared is 100. So when we combine those together, 36 times 100 will get us 3600. So 60 squared is 3600, so it ends up being 3600 plus 72. So our final answer to this problem is 3,672. Now, MAML does like to do this, where they kind of have patterns in the answers. So notice, the first problem's answer was 18. This problem's answer is 3672. So they went 18, doubled that, got us 36, doubled that, got us 72. So I'm pretty sure the problem writer did that intentionally, where they had the first question be 18 and then this problem be 3672. However, that did kind of throw me off on the last problem, which you'll see in a moment. I was expecting a pattern that I didn't see, so I was a little bit confused there. All right, with that problem out of the way, we can move on to our last problem of the first topic of the first meet of 2023. So this one is not an arithmetic with star operations problem. It's kind of just a basic arithmetic problem where you're dealing with money. And this is a common problem where you have they give you the final price and they tell you how the price has changed based on percentages. So this is something you might see come up in later arithmetic topics, if not the state meet. So this is a good one to know. But it's not too difficult once you know the concept. So Eva saw a sun hat in a store, but it cost more than she was willing to pay. By the time she came back to check it out, the price had gone through several revisions. The hat had been reduced by 40%, then that price was reduced by 20%, then that new price was increased by 20%. So those were the 3 price changes. 40% decrease, 20% decrease, 20% increase. She bought it at this time for $46.08. What was the price of the hat when she saw it the first time? So I'm going to say that our variable P is original price. P is original price. Now we have to take these price changes into account. The hat had been reduced by 40%. Well, if something has been reduced by 40%, then it will be 60% of its original value. So a reduction of 40% means that it is 60% of its original value, meaning that we multiply by 0.6. Okay, so that's the first change. The second change is that price was reduced by 20%. So if it's reduced by another 20%, then we're gonna have to multiply it by 0.8, because that price reduced by 20% gets us 80% of that original price. So we multiply by 0.6, then we need to multiply by 0.8, and finally, it says the new price was increased by 20%. Increase is easier than decrease. Increase is just going to be multiplying it by 1.2, because it's going to be 20% plus that original value, which is 100%. So it's going to be 120%, which is 1.2. So these are our three changes in price: 0.6 times 0.8 times 1.2p. So we need to multiply these three numbers together to kind of find the coefficient of p, and we're going to set this value equal to $46.08, because that was the new price of the hat after all of these changes. So let's multiply these together. 0.8 times 1.2, I know is just going to be 0.96. So it's going to be 0.6 times 0.96. Over here, I can just do 96 times 6 real quick. 96 times 6. Well, 6 times 6 is 36, so carry the 3. 9 times 6 is 54, plus 3 is 57. So over here, 0.6 times 0.96, the answer would be 0.576. So we get that 0.576p is equal to 46.08. Now, all we have to do to solve for p is divide both sides by 0.576. Let's do that. Divide by 0.576, divide by 0.576, and we should be left with just p. So, how are we going to solve this fraction? 46.08 over 0.576. Well, there are a number of ways to do it. I actually think long division is going to be the fastest way here. During the actual meet, I don't think I did it long division. I think I literally just guessed and checked after this point. But we can use long division to make sure that we're actually doing it correctly. So let's do that. So I'm going to multiply both the top and the bottom by 100. So for 46, I'm going to multiply both the top and the bottom by 1,000. So 46.08. I'm going to move the decimal 1, 2, 3 times. So we're left with 46080. And with 0.576, I'm going to move the decimal 3 times, and we're left with 576. So our question is, what is 576 divided by the quantity 46080? Now, just for long division, obviously this doesn't go into 4, 46, 460. So the question becomes, how many times does 576 go into 4608? And we can do some testing. I know that if it were just 500, 500 times 8 would be 4,000. So let's test 8. Let's multiply 576 by 8 and see what we get. 6 times 8 is 48, carry the 4. 7 times 8 is 56, plus 4 is 60, carry the 6. 5 times 8 is 40, plus 6 is 46. Would you look at that? 576 times 8 is 4608, exactly what we need over here. So it goes in 8 times, 4608. We're left with 0, bring down the 0. How many times does 576 go into 0? 0 times. So we're left with 80 with no remainder. So we have just shown that this fraction over here simplifies to a nice $80. So our final answer is $80. Very nice. So the reason why originally in the last problem I had said I was a little bit confused with this answer is because, well, let's think about what the previous answers were. We went from 18 to 36, 72. So if we're going 18, 36, 72, I was thinking, well, we might be dealing with multiples of 18 here. So I was expecting either the answer would be double 72, so we would get 144, or I was thinking, oh, well, we'll just go up to the next multiple, so our answer might be 90. So when I got 80, I originally thought, maybe I did that wrong, because, you know, the problem writers do like to throw fun hints in there like that. But no, you can double check, triple check your work. The answer is 80. So just to recap, the three answers for meet number 1, topic number 1, were 18, 3,672, and $80. This was our short video on the 3 problems in the 2023 Arithmetic with Star Operations category.
Thank you for watching.
I'm Sebastian.
And I'm Iris.
And we're the MAML Manual.